Welcome to Jaded Answers. Today's story, I'm going to tell you about a time that I kind of hacked the office pool to win $50. And also, make sure you watch to the end of the video because I'm going to tell you about a way where you can win $50 yourself. We'll get right in on this story right after the intro. Okay, so this story happens, this happened probably about 15 years ago. A place where I worked, I'm really a casual football fan right now as far as NFL football, American football. I'm a really casual fan. I'll catch a game here and there, but I haven't really been like a hardcore fan where I really keep up with everything, in a couple of years, actually more than a couple of years. But a while ago, like 10, 15 years ago, I used to really be into football. I used to be one of those people who knew all of who players on every team and stats and all of that kind of stuff. So anyway, at the job, we used to do a football pool. We had done it for a couple of years. And basically the way the football pool worked was that, we would put in, it was 10 of us that was in the pool. We would put in $10 per week, $5 would go to the weekly pot, and then the other $5 would go to the end of the season pot. So what would happen is that we would just pick our teams. We would go through the list of all of the games that week. We would pick our winners, and then we would pick a tiebreaker, which the tiebreaker would be the total score of the Monday night game. So just in case, you have two people, let's say there's 12 games, and you got two people that week that picked 12 games correctly. Then it would go to, you take the total score of the Monday night game and add it together, and then you both have your number for the total score, and whoever's the closest would be the tiebreaker. That would be the winner. All right, so this year, this was probably about the third or fourth year we had done it, and for some reason this year, all of us was having a hard time with our picks. We was going through the games, and it was like everybody would turn in their picks and everything, and the winner may only get 7 games right. You can only get 7 games right out of the 14 or 16 games that go on that week. You may only get 7 games right and could potentially win. So it was like a lot of people was just having a hard time. This was one of those years where a lot of the teams that had been good were in the rebuilding stage. So, whereas, the previous years, they were the ones that was always winning games. This year, they're like losing games here and there. And then some of the teams that were always like bad, just never were good teams for, several years. They had kind of been going up a little bit where they was winning games and stuff like that. So this was just a rough year for picks. A lot of people was getting a lot of games wrong. It wouldn't be unheard of to where people got more games wrong than right when they turned in their weekly picks. So probably about the 5th or 6th week of the season, we had a lot of stuff going on at work. There was a lot of problems going on at work, and I kept busy, and I never got a chance to really take a look at the games for that week. And we had like a deadline where we had to turn in our picks. So I didn't really have time to I like to go through and look at everything and kind of evaluate things and kind of do what I felt like making smart picks, But it was so much going on that week that for me, that I didn't get a chance to do that. So it came down to the deadline. I only had a few minutes, like a half hour or so before I had to turn in my picks. Or if you don't turn in your picks, you're not excluded from the pool because you still got to, when we start the pool, you kind of commit for the whole season. So if you don't get your picks in on time, the way they handled it was they just gave you all home teams and 50 points for the tiebreaker, Which, of course, you look at that, you're like, who's going to win if they got all home teams? They figured that was a way to where, you still had your wins added up for the end of the year tally, even though you didn't pick them. But there's no chance you're going to, win the week, So that particular week, I was busy. Let me interrupt this story for a minute. I want to let you know about my Road to 300 giveaway. In this giveaway, you have the opportunity to win a $50 Amazon gift card. And I will be selecting 2 winners. Now, this giveaway is not sponsored by YouTube. It is solely my contest. I take full responsibility for it, and it's easy to enter. It doesn't cost anything to enter. All you have to do is subscribe to this channel and leave a comment in the video answering the question that I will ask towards the end of the video. Now, you can enter as many times as you want, and you can enter by following these rules on any video that I post that includes me explaining this contest, this video that you're watching right here. Now, you can do that. This contest will be going on until I hit my goal of 300 subscribers. After that, I will be picking 2 winners, not 1, but 2 winners, and each one of those winners will get a $50 Amazon gift card. Now, for full contest details, check the subscription. But yeah, this is my Road to 300 contest giveaway where you can win a $50 Amazon gift card. I hope you enjoy. I wish you luck, and let's get back to the story. So that particular week, I was busy. I couldn't get my picks in, so I just kind of at the last minute, I got the sheet, and I just went down the sheet and just checked people without any thought. I checked people. I tried to make decisions based on what I thought in the moment, but I didn't do the thing where I'm looking at stats and all of this kind of stuff, really looking at, trying to really evaluate my picks like I, had been doing. So when the weekend was over, we got the results back and we looked, and I almost won that week. I was like second place. The person who won got 7 right and I got 6 right. So I almost won that week. So I started thinking about it. I was like, well, maybe I'm thinking too much. I was like, this is a weird year for the season because of a lot of teams in the rebuilding phase and all of this kind of stuff. Well, a lot of the favorite teams, the teams that I usually would, look at, usually will hold higher, are in their rebuilding phase. So I was like, maybe I'm thinking too much. So I started looking at the scores and I started looking at everything. And I was like, you know what? If I would have not gotten my picks in and they would have gave me all home teams, I would have won, because that particular week, the all home teams got 9 games right. If you would have, not turned your score in and got all home teams, you would have got 9 games right, which the person who won that week got 7 games right. So I started looking at the previous weeks and I noticed something. I noticed that if I looked at each week, I went by each week and I picked the week where 8 or more of the home teams were the favorites for that week. Those weeks, if you picked all home teams, you would have beat the person who won the week in our pool. That's how bad our picks were, for one thing. And then the other thing, I just noticed that thing. And it was like about 3 of the weeks previous, before that, fell like that. It was like when you looked at all home teams, about 8 of them were considered the favorites for that week. And that week, if you counted up you picking all home teams, you would have won compared to who actually did win. So I noticed that and I didn't tell anybody. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. I'm going to try picking all home teams, So the next week came and I was going to pick all home teams, but, I kind of didn't want them to notice that I did it. I didn't want to just turn in the sheet and then they'd be like, oh, you picked all home teams on purpose. I kind of wanted them to think it was a mistake. So what I did was I just didn't turn in my picks. I act like I forgot it, which of course, I didn't turn in my picks, and they automatically gave me all home teams and 50 points for the tiebreaker. So what ended up happening is I was watching the games and stuff and keeping up with the scores just like I would any other week, and what ended up happening was I won that week and I won $50, and everybody was like, they was like kind of thinking it wasn't fair. I didn't even make my picks. Of course, you got all of these people that's trying their best to analyze things and make their picks. And then all of a sudden you got this guy that don't even pick for the week and he's the winner for the week. Everybody kind of felt a little salty about it. So much so that they decided to change the rules. They changed it to say, we're not going to make it all home teams. We're now going to make it all away teams, and because, generally, if you look at it, there is some kind of home team advantage, especially in football, there's a home team advantage, in a lot of situations. The home team generally plays better in front of their own crowd. They generally play better in the same stadium, in the town, in the environment, in the weather where they practice at every day. So there's a bit of a home team advantage. So they started looking at it that way and was like, well, okay, we see that was the wrong choice for people who didn't turn in their picks. We're going to do away teams. So now that really puts you at a disadvantage. Well, I was looking at it and I went back and I looked over the numbers again and I noticed that according to our picks, which, like I said, this was a bad year for everybody. Everybody was, having bad results on their picks. According to our picks, the weeks that you had 8 or more away teams favored versus the home teams in the games, if you picked all away teams on those weeks, you still would get more right than what the winner of that week in our pool had gotten right. So the next week came and I looked at the numbers and it was a situation like that. It was that week, all the away teams it was like about 8 or 9 of the away games, the away teams were favored. They were the ones that were favored to win, So I did it again. I went to the end of the week and I didn't turn in my picks. I ended up getting all away teams. And at the end of the week, I ended up winning again. So it was just pretty funny. So that particular year, I won 3 weeks. 1 week I won on my own from my own picks. And 2 weeks I won from not turning in picks and just getting the default pick, which was pretty funny. The whole everybody that was in the pool was kind of upset with me. They was mad, and they was like, they're not gonna let me play the next. I think the next year I didn't play. I think they tried to start it without me knowing, and I found out, but then I just decided not to play. But yeah, I ended up winning 3 weeks out of that year, out of that season, $50 each week, which 2 of them came from me just not playing. And at the end, the way it happens is, we got 10 people playing, and once they put in the $10 for every week that went to the end pool, the way it works is at the end, you'll have a first place, second place, and third place as far as who got the most games right over the whole season. And I ended up being in third place, which won me like $150. I think the first place person won $400. The second place, I think, won like $250 or something like that, or maybe $350. And then the third place won $150. But yeah, that was pretty funny. That was a crazy situation where I kind of hacked my way into a couple of wins that season. I never did tell anybody. I think to this day, if some of the guys that was playing with us back then just happen to see this video, they may remember that happened, but they probably don't know that I actually looked into it and I did it on purpose. They probably thought it was just dumb luck, but it wasn't. I kind of looked into it and I knew exactly what I was doing. I tried to do it in a way where they wouldn't catch on to it and everything. Try to make it look like I just fumbled my picks for that week and just lucked up into a win. But I knew exactly what I was doing. It was an experiment. I didn't know if it was going to work, but I knew exactly what I was trying to do. But yeah, that was my story. That's how I hacked my way into winning the office football pool. Won $50 2 times, Have you ever done anything like that? Have you ever, kind of hacked your way into doing something, or like pretended ignorance about something, but you knew full well what you was doing just to kind of get ahead on whatever goal it was you was trying to do? I like to hear about your experiences, or anything you got about football pools or any type of office pool that you have. I like to hear about your experiences in the comments below. This answering this question also serves as a contest entry if you put the hashtag Jaded Answers. But thank you for listening. I'll see you next time. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. While you're here, why don't you check out that video right there? Or maybe that one right there. And while you're at it, go ahead and click that little picture of my image there and subscribe to my channel.